Welcome to Trading Lounge and the indices, and starting with the SP500 here on the daily chart. It's certainly, gentlemen, start your engines, because we've got this particular pattern across the 6,000 here that you can see, even if you don't understand Elliott, you can see that when we first arrived here at the 6,000, it's basically weaved itself across and now it's become support. It hasn't actually taken out any of these highs here yet, but that's what we're looking for. And we're looking actually at this particular pattern here, which is the most common pattern: the arrival, the reaction, the first high above the level, the ABC pattern, and then then the first impulse waves to the upside. So that's sort of where we are. So it is really sort of ready to go. We've got the arrival, the reaction, the first high above the level, the ABC correction, wave 1 here and 2 here, then wave 1 and wave 2 here, and then pushing off here. Now, I will put a trade into which I already have into the portfolio. So, but I'm putting it in there as the SPY. So this is just at the user side. So I've got it here. So I'll put in indice trades in here. These are these are open positions here. Yeah, that's right. And pending positions for the US here. And where I can, I'll put in a chart here. So in this case, we can enter onto this. This is the SPY. We can enter, at 606, and I'll keep the stop here, and I'll move up the stop pretty quickly. But for the futures market, I will just get a much closer edge here for this. Okay, so I'll just so that you know, I will put them in here for that, and probably the triple Q as well, because we're on a bit of a long-term trend here. Now, there's a couple of ways to view this. We could look at it as wave 1 and 2 here, and then 3, 4, 5, and up will be up here for that, up at the 650, which is about right. Or we could look at this in a larger pattern here, which is, as I mentioned this morning, would be a little bit tough to get your grey cells around, but would put wave 1 up here at this degree and wave 2 here, and move up further at that point. So really this is just wave 1 and 2 here, 3, 4, 5, up for wave 1. Now it looks really big here in that situation, would go much higher. But when you look at the the weekly chart, it's comes into perspective a little bit more. So we had this count here originally, but just to sort of bring it back into the fold, just before we start on this journey to the upside here. And we're also looking at, if I go from intermediate into minor here, we're looking at 1 and 2 here. So the other point that I wanted to make here is that we've got 1 and 2 and 1 and 2 here. So we're really entering into the third of the third here. So this should push along quite sort of quickly here. So this is the time not to fall asleep, but we do need the right setup to take us high, because when you're going long always looking at the bearish side, when you look at the bearish side, we have made a new high here. So it would be possible, as I mentioned before, to bring this wave 5 down here, and then that would be the top here. Because on the bearish side, you see how quickly this has dropped here, and then it's struggled to the upside and dropped quickly, and struggled to the upside and dropped quickly. So we need to be mindful of actually what's going on here. So we actually need to confirm that we're actually on the right path for that. And in a nutshell, taking out this top of wave 1 here would do that. We could also do it on the next one down, or we could track the initial this little impulse wave to the upside here as well, and then move in that way. And that's what we'll be looking at. Also, just before we start as well, you'll see here now that on the S&P here, so we've got 7 analysts, and we've got we're bringing on another analyst, and I wanted to get some feedback, because I was thinking about, with a new analyst, to cover stocks on the FTSE and the DAX. So we've either got that situation, or we could do, Alessio's been doing US stocks, but perhaps doing a more in-depth and a wider coverage of US stocks. So a bit of feedback into the chat section here about your opinions about what we should what we're lacking and what we should be covering, because I mean, in this section here you can chat to the analysts as well, so that makes it pretty sort of special. But over here we've got what you'll start seeing in this program is this is Shane here, and he's got an alternative count for the S&P here. So later on, it might be Malik, or it could be one of the other analysts. They will have their accounts here, so you'll be able to see their accounts on different stocks and different markets around the place. So this will build up here. We've made that move, and it's started. So also why we're here as well, without boring you to death, is that you can look at these charts here and you bring these wave counts through to your charts. But if you wanted to get a clean chart, you see this tab here. This is it's called the drawable sections here. So what you can do here is that you can see that Shane's got an alternative here and so on. So what you would need to do if you want a clean copy is to make this copy. This is a copy of the copy, but copy of the SPX, and label it yourself with this one here. Edit it and give it a name. And then that way you can have a clean chart for the S&P here. So anyway, a little bit more on that later. But let's start now and look at the S&P and the E-mini. We've got wave 1 and 2 here, and 1 and 2 here. And we need to drill into that a little bit further. So we're just going to go into the to the 15-minute chart. And just to get your bearings here, we've got just get this on there. One of them's not, this one here is not quite on there. That pops into place there, and it's kind of important to pop in place, because if you're using the algo here or any just labeling, it will give you the correct count in the correct label rather. But here we've got wave 1 up here and wave 2 here we've been tracking, and then wave 1 here, and we have wave 2 over here. So if I just bring in some more labeling at this point here, so from wave 1 here we got the A wave, the B wave, and the C wave here that we were looking for yesterday, and now we're sort of pushing to the upside here. Now I've got some drawings on here that we were talking about in the previous video for the stocks video. Now yeah, we need to understand this little area here now. So like I said before, we could go long above this wave 1 over here, and that would verify that we're on the right track at this point, and buying new highs. We could also come down to this B wave, and we could buy here as well for this. And thirdly, we could track 5 waves moving up here and then get the pullback and then go in. So let's just bring in some more data here. So we've got the ABC for the B wave here, down for the C wave. It fell out of bed pretty quickly. We've got wave 1 and 2 here, and 3, 4, 5. So once we finish these 5 waves here, then we could pull back and buy this here. So if I take this here and go into a 5-minute chart here, this is a little move to the upside. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 up here, and I could probably drop that in here as 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 up here. As whoops a daisy, get back over there. I can lock that in there, by the way, so I can just hit over there and lock that wave 2 there, and to do that with all structures. So we've got wave 1 here and 2 here and 3 and 4, and we're just looking for wave 5 to push up here. And once we get that 5 waves up there, that will be wave 1, and then we'll have this ABC correction here, this ABC pattern here. So then we could go long above, because we can go long above this B wave up here. We could even go long above the top here after these 5 waves to the upside. Then we could drop it down to wave B here, to this wave B here. And then once it drops down here, yes, you could buy the low here if you could figure out this. And then this next move up here would also be an impulse wave up here. So this would be another wave 1 and wave 2 at that point. So then you can also come back into buy that B wave over there. And the idea of buying the B wave is that because you would have this from the last low, you would have 5 waves here. because buying right here, we haven't made a top up here. We haven't really confirmed that we're in a bullish market yet. But because we've got 5 waves here, that means we'll get another 5 waves over here. So that means we could manage the exposure, the initial risk on that particular trade at that point. So this would be optimizing it. Of course, you could also go into this first little 5 waves here. Now, anything that you do in here should be really a smaller position if you're using leverage contracts or got overnight financing in any shape or form, and then build in as we start to break new highs up here. The other point that I wanted to make as well is that, you know, we haven't broken any new highs yet, but we're looking to do that next. But the thing is that when a market, you know, when you're moving up here, you're going to hit, this is going to hit supply here, of course, and pull back, and this one's going to pull back. So it takes a while to get through, but eventually when you do push through, when it does push through up here, it's going to have it takes a fair bit of effort to do that. So it's going to have a rest, and then it's going to come back and test all these, you know, all this area through here. So there'll be a fair bit of testing on this. I'm dramatizing here, but there'll be a fair bit of testing. So just realize that when you do, you know, when you buy breakout, there will be a retest from the breakout, and it's the retest that helps you establish a better position to the upside. So I always say a small position with wider stops is better, and then you can just continue to build in position. So we're basically ready to, you know, to rock and roll on this next trend here, but we don't have confirmation. I mean, we have confirmation in terms of the structures, but the personality of the structure, as I mentioned before, these tops here have been dropping quite quickly here. So this is normally quite a bearish situation. So we do need to be a little bit careful. We do need to take out that wave one up there to confirm. Okay, so whatever you do in here, make sure it's small and don't lose money. And the idea is, once you've got a little bit of pocket money in here and a bit of money up your sleeve, then you can hit it a little bit harder as it sort of comes up here. But the time it comes up here and breaks these highs here, then the public are going to realize what's going on. And then what happens, because we're in wave 2 here, so we're in the third, the intermediate third wave, minor third wave, so we're in the third of the third of the third of the third. So this is basically where you start getting gaps and stuff in the third of the thirds to the upside. That's the most powerful point in the structure. So that's what we're looking for. Not confirmed, but I have to say it's looking quite good, and we're getting the right messages from NVIDIA, Apple. Now we're being triggered in on Apple, Meta and Amazon. All of these, you know, they're all sort of looking good. Microsoft and Google, and we're being short Tesla. You know, they're on another page, so to speak. But we've got some, you know, we've got some big stocks leading the way to the upside, so we're kind of confirming it in that space there as well. Now that said, I've got the futures here now because I was using the TradingView thing before, but I'll start using this one here now. But we talked about this. So the futures market is a little bit closer to the 6,100 up here, which is a little bit important. We've got the A wave, the ABC for the B wave here, and we want to get 5 waves up here. So we don't have 5 waves up here. We've got this here at the moment, so we need to get one more up here than the ABC pattern. So we'll talk about that a little bit later. But what you want, what you're really looking for is this 6,100 here. You're looking for a little classic trading levels pattern. So if we just played this out here for a moment, let's say this move up here becomes wave 1. Now it may reach the 6,100 and it may not. It doesn't matter, but it's going to come up here somewhere and it's going to pull back at this point, and it's going to have an ABC pattern. Now, if you could see the next little 5 waves up here, well, then that would be good. But if you can't, then it's going to be a little bit like this here. So it's going to kind of be like this. Now, once again, I'm sort of dramatizing it, but you need to eyeball it at a point that you feel comfortable and that you recognize where you could be at this point. You could be here, you could be over here. all of those sorts of things. You could even be all the way back over here. If you can see this ABC pattern here, you might be on the B wave here. But I'm telling you, this 6,100, the 100 one is the strongest number. You definitely need that as a tested support to feel safe at this point. Okay, and taking this wave one out here will happen in the futures market before it happens in the cash or the SPY and those sorts of things. So when we look at the SPY here, for example, we've put that into the into the portfolio as such. And once again, this is why I've put it at 606. It's not quite the high. You could do it at 605.80 odd there as well. But this, different people think markets here is, what's his name's, sold it to, anyway, whatever. It's just one of those, companies. Yeah, so just double check the prices on things. But basically this B wave, we want to be taking that out. So anyway, if we can get a better price on this, we'll change it. Okay, so all of that said, I'm just going to go back to the intermediate here and daily chart, and we're going to have a look at the Nasdaq. Okay, the Nasdaq. So I yacked on quite a bit then, so I want to move along a little bit. So we've got wave 3 and 4 here, and then we've got wave 1 up here with an A and a B and a C for 2 here, and then we've also got wave 1 with an A, B, C for 2. Now the B wave in here is a little bit different than the other markets. This wave 1, why have you drifted off over there? I think anyway, it doesn't really matter. You got the gist of it. So we're just going to go into the intraday here, into the 15-minute chart, and pick this up here. Wave 2 here, and wave 1 up here, and wave 2 here, and we're looking for, I'll just drop in this minute degree here, so we're looking for an ABC pattern here. Now I've got this this B wave here a little bit different than probably a couple of other people. You could label this in different ways. Basically, I've got it as a WXY for the B wave, and on the S&P we looked at it as a triangle pattern as well. I can see that there's a couple of different ways you could put. Technically, this wave B could go over to here. It's just that this was a little bit. Well, I mean, I've still got to put it like that. There's a couple of ways to look at it, but it doesn't really matter at this point. I've just got it as an ABC pattern here for this wave 2. But we were looking for this wave 2 yesterday. It fell out of bed. We got it, and now we're working to this impulse wave to the upside. So let's just focus on this little impulse wave. And I'm just going to move to the 5 minutes here, and I'm just going to clear this up here. And just clear this out the way for a moment. So we could look at this a little bit differently now. So now that that's sort of shown itself a little bit more, I can drop that down to here and drop this down to here, and then I can drop this over to here. I can put this up here, and then I can put this over to here. Now that can make wave 1 at this point here, and wave 2 here. So this would be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 for the third wave, fourth and fifth. Now the question is is this fifth wave here, is that just wave 1 up there and 2 here and 3, 4, 5? And do I need to put this wave 1 over here a little bit further and then have this wave 2 here? Yeah, I'm not quite sure about that. It's possible, it's doable. I'll just have a look at the futures market here for this, and I might not have this labeled. So I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 here. So we've pushed up here. But I mean, the good thing about this now is that we've just taken out this little high here. Now what that does, just even at this level here, it forces this little move here, this one to this one to this one, to be corrective at that point. So just that fact alone, that's fantastic. So it's pretty much because this one here because this one here is corrective now, that means we'll take out this top. And if we're taking out this top, that means we'll be taking out this top. So basically at this point, the Nasdaq here is like triggering that. The problem is now, though, is if we are looking at this to the upside as some sort of wave one up here, we're going to end up coming back here a little bit before going up higher up here. So this is what we need to sort of talk about over here. So this is so we're here at the moment. So I was looking at that. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah. So I think that's quite nice actually, as 1, 2, 3, 4. A bit of overlap there. So I could go 1 and 2, 1 and 2 here, but as a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So if I just come back to the Nasdaq here for a moment, so that means that we could certainly look at this here, up here a little bit further on this, which would be in line with the S&P on this and so on. So we could just view this here as a little 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 up here, but I do need to change that, and I didn't get it right on the right thing there, so it wasn't that helpful, but that's alrighty. So we know that the cash market will jump up there a little bit, and we can put this up here. So it'll be something like this here. So yeah, we still want the ABC coming back, you know. So we still need this 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then we need this ABC pattern to come back, and then we're pretty much good to go at that point. So it'll be something like that. This support over here for this would be about right, you know. And then we can just look at this B wave coming into play here for this. This will be like many markets really. So that's it, really. It's looking good, you know. So we know the futures have pushed up and taken this out. So it's confirming this here as a corrective move. So that's good, very good. Don't need to look at the triple Q. It'll be much the same. So we can move over to the DAX. Okay, so let's just bring this out a little bit here to 15 minutes on the DAX. So in a nutshell, we've got, why don't I just take a step back here for a moment, and we'll just clean this up, and we'll go to the daily chart here. So we've got this as 3, 4, 5 up here for the third wave and the fourth wave here. Now this will be in line with the US markets, but the reality is that this wave 3 here, the size of this should be over here, but it's I'd have to sort of force it to fit it a little bit, you know, because we've got a nice 5-wave structure here for this, you know. So it is a bit of it is bugging me a little bit, this thing here, you know, but the way I've got it at the moment, it would be in line with the US markets. And if I bring in the minor degree here, because the US markets, we've got wave 1 and 2 and 1 and 2 here, and we can look at this as 5 waves up here, and then the next degree down, which we're also looking at with the US markets, is this little 5-wave move up here as 1 and 2. So we've got little 5 waves here, which is very clear, and we have 1 and 2, and then we'll be pushing up higher at that point. So this dance is across the 22,000, and in a way we're looking for the first high above the level. So we're really just sort of on, and before we go there on an intraday basis, we're basically looking for this first high above the level, then the ABC back again. This will be across the 22,000 level here. So that's basically where we are, and I'm dragging the FTSE and the Australian market into this, and pretty much all of them into this pattern. So we're going to go to the 15-minute chart here now that you've got a bit of a gist of what's going on. So we had a look at 1 and 2, and I know that, you know, it would look better if I had wave 1 here and 2 here, and then we've got 5 waves here. It'd look better if I brought this wave 3 here down over to here. And if you use the algo here, it will tell you that that would be the right count as well, or at least one of the counts. But I just want to tie it into the US market. So we got this little move up here. And let's bring in that. So we're looking at a little bit of a dodgy first 5-wave structure here, but I kind of, I get it. 1, 2. And the other thing that makes this okay is that we've got this beautiful 5-wave for the 3rd wave here. And then we got the 4th wave, and we've been working through this 5th wave here, and it's been moving along really quite nicely. It's quite strong, isn't it? So then we've got to kind of figure out what we've actually got here. And I can see here that well, let's just label that here. So I've got 1 and 2 here, and looking at this as 3 and 4. It's not really the best fit. So it doesn't really matter either, because what will happen here is that from this little move here, we've got this as 1, 2, 3, 4. So we could go up for 1 more. At worst, we could have 2 more. So don't panic, okay? But then we need to get an ABC pattern. Now, the ABC pattern could come back down to the 61.8% or the 50% or the 40%, whatever. But in a way, this is what we need to be. This is what we need here, And then the long trade to start with, once the top is in play, we don't know where that is just yet, but once it is there, then we can look to go long above that top. And then the second thing, as it drops down, it's going to come back down and hit some point down here and bounce back up. And then once it bounces back up and then drops, you need to be patient. Then you'll have this one here. And then eventually what will happen is when this comes down here, you could buy down here, but then there'll be 5 waves up to the previous high, because it'll hit the previous high here, and then it'll come back in another correction, right? And then go up again. So it leaves the door open for you to go long on the B wave over here. It also leaves you to go long on this little B wave in here, 5 waves up here, a little ABC pattern here, and keep this position small, because when this one comes down, it could bite you and turn your green into a red at that point. But you want to keep your stop over here. When you've got 5 waves here, you've got to keep your stop over here. Don't get fearful and start bringing your stop up here, because it will get you. It's just not good policy. It's not good procedure. It's just fear. So you don't want that. You're better off starting with the most smallest position you can within, and then look to add to the position at the right time here, and then just keep building in. And then, as you move your stop up here, you get this one to break even, then you can get another one here if you've got small positions. It's okay to build in 20 positions up here, or a dozen or 5 or whatever you want to do. I mean, I prefer smaller positions and wider stops. And when I get one close to break even, then I'll look for my next one to get in, But I'm not trading this market, by the way. I'm a bit busy with TradingLounge at the moment, so I haven't been doing much trading. I just keep shoving money into BTC. Okay, so that's enough waffling on that. We need to go over to the FTSE. Okay, so this is a daily chart, and the thing here is that we're looking at this being the low here, but I keep looking at this here and seeing 5 waves up here. So if I looked at this here as wave 1 and 2 here, then I can still look at this as another wave 1 up here for this. So I'm not really sure about this just yet, so I might need to change that a little bit later on, but it doesn't matter at the moment. I have mentioned it before, and so I've got this alternative wave 1 just sitting here for that. But just tying this particular trend into everything else is what we're doing at the moment. And then we're also looking for a little wave 1 up here next for this. So we're looking for 1 and 2 here to build up there. So now that I've done that, you've got some idea of where we are in all of this. And this is this little wave 1 up here that we're looking at here. So this is 1 and 2 here. And need to drag in some. So we've got 1 and 2. I'm wondering if other folks are able to move this, and that's what's actually happening here for this. Well, we've got those alternative counts, So here we've got 1 and 2 and 1 and 2 and 1 and 2, and I've got 3, 4, 5 for the third, the fourth. I can see we've got this, I had this labelled in here too. Where's that gone? That's a bit weird. So something's a little bit not quite right here, but yeah, I've got this wave 4 and 5 here. Just not quite sure the best way to handle this. I mean, I can see we've got 5 waves in this little move. We've got 5 waves to here, 1, 2 here. There's 5 waves up here for the 3, the 4 here, or the 4 to here, and the 5 to here. So really from this point here, it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 here. So 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5, but the problem with this one is that it's a little bit below this one here, so I've got a bit of an issue with this one here, but I'm not that worried about it because we're at the 800 here. I know that we're definitely going to get some sort of dance here, and all the other markets need to give us an ABC pattern, so I can see that we just probably won't be the case, but I can see even here we need 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 up here. But look, if there is another move up here, if I've got this completely wrong and there is another move up here, it still doesn't matter. We're going to be looking for this ABC pattern over here. That's what we'll be looking for. I need to drag all these over, of course. That will be down here somewhere. That will be over here and over here. So we're looking for some sort of ABC pattern. And, you know, it'd be the same old story. There's nothing to trade, then there's everything to trade, you know. So we need to wait for that high to come in. That's our first thing. Drop it down to the B wave. And then once you've done that, you can look over here for the first little other 5 waves to come up, and then the ABC, and then up at that point, you know, and keep refining it down and down and down in all of this. But start from the top and then work down in that. You know, it's basically the same pattern we get here. We wait for the high. We can go long above the high, but then we can wait for the second one, and then the next one, and then we can next one until we're triggered in, you know. Once you get the idea of it, it works well. Okay, so that's that, and let's go and have a look at the Aussie market. So this is the cash market here. So I'm not going to focus on this because sometimes I can look at the cash market and go, oh, that count's really useful. That's really clear. We can use that. But because most people are trading CFDs, we're just going to look now at the futures here. So I'm just going to click on this one here, and I just want to talk about this for a little bit. Now, one of the things here is that I'm tuning all this into the US market. So wave 1 up here, wave 2 here, wave 1 here, and ABC for wave 2 here, which is a nice ABC we talked about yesterday. And then here we've got little 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 for 1 and 2. I can count 5 waves up here for 3 and 4. So I'm wondering if we just push up for wave 5 here. Once we push up for wave 5, then we'll get the ABC back here again, and then you can look to go long on the B wave here. I also want to work out here, just to let you know, that if we've made a mistake, because if we've made a mistake, this wave 1 will be sitting where that wave 3 is, and this would be the A, the B, and the C. So if it drops down and tests this low here, right, if it tests this low, then you know that top is in place. So any changes in this, and I'll update an image in the chat lounge for this, okay, when this setup comes, because this will be our time, this will be my time, so I can help with that. Okay, so I'm going to move on to have a look at the Nifty and the DJ. So the Nifty here has come right back down. So I've been looking at this as the A wave, the B wave, and the C wave here. Harsh has got a slightly different look on this. It hasn't breached this low down here. It's quite close to this, but I'm just going to stay with it for a moment, because the interesting thing here is that we've got a little impulse wave up here. Now, it may not get you too far, so you'll need to, if you're going to trade this, I probably wouldn't trade it myself. I'd wait for a bigger move, because it could do this and then come down again at that point. That's what it could do. The other side to this is that if you want to hold your horses a little bit, if this is going to be wave 1 here and then wave 2 here, then we're going to see wave 3, 4, and 5 here. Then we're going to have an ABC pattern, and then we're going to move up again. So they're the two things. So I think we'll just plonk this over to here, and we'll wait for a bigger 5 waves to come into play. And if that gets triggered on the B wave here, then you can bring this stop up to that point at that stage. So we'll just allow that to play out. Let's have a look at the DJ. Okay, so the Dow Jones, I won't go into a big spiel here. We've been tracking this wave 1 to the upside, the A wave, the B wave, and the C wave here. Now, we haven't breached this particular low here. It may have done that on the futures market. We'll have to double check that. I can count down here as 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 here, so a little bit dodgy. I could put this in here for this and finish this off here for that. I'm not quite sure if we're going to have another little low down here. In the meantime though, you could get a small position on the break of this. Now make this a small position because we would want to have a look at this 45 over here. There will be another opportunity over here for this. So we either come down here first a little bit further, or yeah, but even if we do push up here, we want to be pushing up for 1, a little ABC for 2 here, and then pushing up again. So there'll be a couple of opportunities over here. We'll just see how this plays out. I've got a feeling that we're going to be like we've got a bit more, another low to come into play here, especially when the S&P and that the S&P and the Nasdaq need to pull back for their wave 2, so we could end up coming back here a little bit further. So yeah, we just haven't. But you know, the other thing that sort of I think about this, when you see a market that's gapped like this on a news event, well then, you know, now look at the structure here as 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So it's really just, this is where the problem is, not over here. Do you know what I mean? So this could be, you know, the low here. We may end up just getting up here for 5 and then a little ABC pattern here and then moving off again up here. That's why we want to go long above this top here, and you could even bring that down over to here for this. So we'll just see how it plays out. You know, there's getting there with it, but at the end of the day, if you could get a small position under the 45 and then wait for the 45 to become the support, then build in on that, and then we can build in further positions in here as well. Alrighty, I'm going to leave it all at that. Thanks for tuning in. Cheers.